Good afternoon, Sruli Fried here from Lifeline. We are all broken and shattered from the horrific news that we heard yesterday. There are no words, and we literally cannot wrap our brains around it. At the same time, our hearts go out for the families and friends involved. We cannot imagine what this time must be like for them. There have been things said by mental health professionals, advice shared, and insight shared about warning signs, etc. And it's important to reach out to mental health professionals if you feel that you need that help. Here at Lifeline, we would like to focus specifically on children and how children react, and what do we say, what do we not say, how do we reassure children, our children, during such a difficult and challenging time. But I think before we speak about what we tell our children, how we say it, and how we reassure them, I think there are three important factors that we need to keep in mind. First, we can't project our feelings onto our children. As difficult as this moment is for every single one of us, we can't get support from our children. That's why we have spouses, friends. That's who we break down to. That's who we cry to, share our feelings, and we're here for our children to reassure them. Two, children have a total different sense of timing and context. They may be out there playing and caring about what they're getting for the start of day camp and camp, and really not focused on what happened. But they may need you in a week and 2 weeks and 3 weeks from now when they hear certain details, and that's when some of what we're going to be discussing needs to be implemented. Three, children are very resilient. They can deal with a lot. Our children will be okay, as difficult and as challenging as this moment is at this time. Now let's speak about what you tell children. How do you tell it to them? And some of the emotional reactions that children have at such a time. And there are three words that I would like for you to keep in mind when having a conversation with your child. And that's what, how, and why. Mommy, what happened? Tati, how did it happen? Mommy, Tati, why did it happen? And let's go through this. What happened? Sadly, there was a devastating tragedy that happened, and two young children, Winifteris, they passed away. There's no need to share, and we should stay away from sharing gory details. And there's no need to share more with children if they are not asking or discussing it with you. So what happened should be very age appropriate, concrete for younger children. No need to go into specific details or gory details, etc. But if children ask, Mommy, Tati, how did this happen? How does such a horrific thing happen? The first step is you want to make sure that you want to hear from them first. What do they know? What did the children hear? Who did they hear it from? You want this conversation to happen in the safety and security of home. You don't want children just having rumors and discussing it with friends. Rather, you want that conversation to happen in the presence of you as parents. So hear from them first. What do they know? And if they heard the details of what happened, it's important not to deny, because then children may not trust you, but rather to respond and say, Rifki, Maishi, Mommy heard the same. I don't know the exact details. The details are horrific. It's something that never, ever, ever happens. And sadly, it happened here to such beautiful two little children. But make sure not to deny if they're not going to trust you, therefore, because of it. So you can say, A, I heard the same thing. B, don't focus on the details. And 3, make sure to stress what a rare occurrence this is. Which brings us to the third and final point. Why did it happen? And when we ask questions of why, that's an emotional question. Children are looking for reassurance, to make sure that their world is a safe, secure place. And it's important to stress and say that not only do these things don't happen, people have challenges all the time. Mothers have challenges, fathers have challenges. We have good days, we have hard days, we have tougher days at work, in yeshiva, etc. This is not a reaction that ever happens. This comes from an illness that literally never happens. Because even when people do have illnesses and mental health illnesses, this is not a reaction. So to be able to stress that and how unique, different, and something that almost never happens. And there are 3 words that we keep in mind that when we speak to children about emotional reactions in such a tragic situation. 1 is to validate their feelings, 2 is to model appropriate reactions, and 3 is to reassure. To validate the feelings, meaning that when the child says it's so sad or it's so scary, is to be able to say, yes, that's a normal reaction in times like this. Model appropriate reactions, meaning that mommy and tati feel the same way. When we heard about it, we cried. Now, we said in the beginning not to get support from your children, which means we can't be hysterical in front of children, but we could show if they're crying that it's a normal reaction and that we cried in a controlled manner. And 3 is reassurance. Reassurance means that this is something that's not part of life. This is not normal. This is not an occurrence that ever happens. Reassurance means that your world is a safe, secure place. Reassurance means mommy and tati are here for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. May we only share Suras Tavis, and we shouldn't know of any tzaras. And if any of you have specific questions, please feel free to reach out to the Chai Lifeline crisis line at 855-327-4747. 855-327-4747. May we only share Suras Tavis.